Book, We Created Chavez, A People's History of the Venezuelan Revolution. And we're happy to have him join us from Philadelphia this morning. Sir, on the Chavez anniversary, protests are still going strong. 3 weeks later, what does it bring to mind?
Well, the reality is that I actually think I disagree probably with your correspondent a little bit that this opposition movement is growing. I think it's actually starting to dwindle out. There are protests today, but these protests really have to compete with the memory of Chavez's death, really, and the celebrations of his memory that are going to really blanket Venezuelan political, the political terrain for the next week at least. And these movements have begun to die out a little bit, and partly because of the strategies of these movements, which have sought to unseat a democratically elected president and heir to this very popular figure who was Hugo Chavez. It's going to be very difficult for these movements to claim any of that legacy.
How much of the population do the protesters speak for? And are these temporary protests sort of in response to economic conditions, to a high crime rate, or are they going to be more steadfast than that?
Well, on the surface of it, these are about crime and they are about, economic scarcity. But it's been pointed out on several occasions that there was crime and economic scarcity in April when Nicolás Maduro won the election, and there was crime and economic scarcity in December when the Chavistas won a pretty decisive victory in local elections. I think what we're seeing at this moment is maneuvering by some more conservative right-wing sectors of the opposition to take over and claim this 45% of the population that didn't vote for Nicolás Maduro. But the reality is some of the tactics that have been used, especially these sort of burning and barricades that are called guarimbas, these in some cases very violent, have really chased away a lot of the middle-of-the-road supporters that they might have had otherwise.
All right, since this is the anniversary of Chavez's death, let's talk a little bit about that legacy. According to numbers from the World Bank, from 2004 to 2012, when Chavez was in power, the percent of Venezuelans living below the poverty line was reduced by more than half, from almost 54% to 25%. Can things like this be attributed to Chavez? And what has changed in Venezuela since the Chavez era, which really ended only 2 years ago?
Certainly part of that reduction in poverty has to do with the fact that oil prices dramatically increased, but this was also part of the policy and the political approach of someone like Chavez. The rebuilding of OPEC allowed for oil prices to rise, and the political strategy, the government policy of diverting more and more of that oil wealth toward the poor was really a large part of what Chavez helped to use to reduce poverty so much. But it goes beyond that, the legacy. Chavez also stood for the creation of a different form of democracy, the creation of local democratic councils and workers' cooperatives, and sort of the dream that he held out up to his death was the idea of building a different kind of Venezuelan state that he called the communal state that wouldn't be so reliant on oil, that would be decentralized, in which people would participate more on an everyday level in decisions affecting their lives.
Professor Maher, obviously, we're seeing very different societies and governments when we talk about comparing Venezuelan events there to events in Ukraine or Egypt or Thailand. But do you see any parallels in those movements?
I think the first thing to bear in mind is that, on the one hand, the protesters in Venezuela are attempting to take advantage of these kind of comparisons. We live in a moment of global upsurge. We live in a moment, from the Arab Spring to the Occupy movement, in which people are in the streets. And the Venezuelan opposition is taking advantage of that. They're tweeting it. They're saying sort of this is the next step in a global process toward what they claim is democratization. But the reality is that this Venezuelan opposition, while there are some people who are certainly well-meaning, who have valid concerns on the streets, the opposition leadership that is being embraced by these movements in the streets in many ways represents a large step backward toward neoliberalism, toward the sort of savage capitalism that Chavez himself grew out of in a response to.
George Ciccariello-Maher, professor at Drexel University, joining us from Philadelphia this morning. Thank you, sir.
Fascinating. A lot of people believe there might be a social media contagion where we're seeing all of these